All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. And as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD 1000 Web Development Technologies course, I've been going through and creating a series of video presentations based on the Mozilla Developer Network Learn Web Development series. I'm toward the end here, and I'm under server-side website programming, talking about the Express Web Framework utilizing Node.js and JavaScript. And to finish this up, we've got a 7-part tutorial where we're building a simple library system, and I'm on part 2, creating a skeleton website. So, as just mentioned, this is the second article in the Express tutorial. It shows how you can create a skeleton website project, which you can then go on to populate with specific routes, templates, views, and database calls. So, this tutorial will use the Express application generator that we looked at earlier. In this case, as it says, we'll use the tool to create the framework for our local library website. And we will be adding additional code in future tutorials. Now, it says there the process is extremely simple. And again, simple is a relative term. But it really, here, as it says, we just have to invoke the generator on the command line with a new project name. That's it. And I'll show you that in just a moment. Optionally, as it says, you can specify the site's template engine in CSS generator. The following sections are going to show us how to call the application generator and provide some explanation about some of the different options that are available. They're also going to go through and explain how the website is structured. All right, and at the end, as it says, they'll show you how you can run the website to verify that it works. This is very similar to what we did in an earlier lecture. All right. Notice, as it says here in the note, the Express application generator is not the only generator for Express applications. And this is not the only way to structure your application. All right. However, as it says, the site that we get with this has a modular structure that is fairly simple to both extend and to understand. All right, it says for more information about a minimal Express application, well, this is one that we've kind of looked at before. All right, this tutorial uses the version of Express that's defined in the package.json created, not necessarily the latest version. I will be using the latest version. We've looked at this before, and if you remember, if I bring up git bash, I can come in here then, and whoops, I don't want that. There we go. And I can always say node -v. So I'm using 14.7.0. They're using an earlier version. All right. You should have already installed the generator as part of the Node application development environment. This is the command that we used a while back. And again, you probably have already seen me do this, but if I hit the up arrow key, all right, it brings back basically, it's showing me the commands that I've entered, and it'll only go to a certain point. But there's the command that I put in earlier. So there's really no sense in putting it in again. If you want to find out more about the options that are available through the command, through Express, you can type in Express -- help. Says you can specify Express to create a project inside the current directory by using the Jade view engine in plain CSS by just typing in Express. That's not what we're going to do. All right. So as it says here, the Express application generator allows you to use a number of popular view and templating engines, and some of them are listed there. It chooses Jade by default. It says Express itself can support a large number of template engines right out of the box. I know that I've done this before, and I've used EJS, and I've used Handlebars, which is the HBS that it says there. If you want a template engine that isn't supported by the generator, then see using template engines with Express. Okay. Generally speaking, you should select the templating engine that delivers all the functionality you need. Well, again, what does that mean? That means as you're learning, you might try more than one. All right. Some of the things to consider are shown here. Time to productivity. As it says, if your team already has experience with a templating engine, it would make more sense to probably use that one. Popularity and activity. as they mentioned there, review the popularity of the engine and see whether or not it has an active community. So not if, but when you end up having questions, are there people that you can go to? Style. Some template engines use specific markup to indicate inserted content with ordinary HTML. Others construct it using a different syntax. Performance and rendering time. Features that are available. All right, notice what they have here. Layout inheritance. Allows you to define a base template and then inherit just the parts you want as you're going along. Include support. Allows you to build up templates by including other templates. Concise variable and loop syntax. Ability to filter values at a template level. Ability to generate output formats other than HTML, such as JSON and XML. Support for asynchronous operations. Again, callbacks, promises, async await, and streaming. Client-side features. And as it says, there's many resources out there, and you can go look. For instance, they're going to use Pug here. And if I right mouse click and open this up, all right, here's our Pug getting started, and it's at pugjs.org. It says this is one of the most popular Express JavaScript templating engines, and it's supported out of the box by the generator. All right, so what CSS style sheet engine should we use? Now, some of the ones that are shown there, Less, Sass, Compass, and Stylus, basically what you're able to do, for example, with Less and Sass, there's CSS preprocessors, meaning that in many ways you can use CSS almost as though it's a programming language, in that you can come in and you can create variables, etc. Now, they mentioned their CSS has some limitations that make certain tasks difficult. Style sheet engines allow you more powerful syntax. Okay? It says, as with templating engines, you should use the one that will allow your team the most productivity. For this project, we're going to use vanilla CSS. And the CSS requirements are not significantly complicated. So in other words, just regular CSS. There's nothing special that we're going to use here. All right. What database should we use? The generated code does not include any databases. Express apps can use any database mechanism supported by Node. All right. They'll discuss how to integrate that in a later article, and I believe they're going to use Mongoose in accordance with MongoDB, a NoSQL database. All right. So for the sample local library app we're going to build, we'll create a project named Express-local library-tutorial. A couple things about that. And I noticed that a lot of people end up doing this, and that is they end up utilizing all lowercase letters and dashes between words. And again, the most important part of you doing that is to come up with some kind of a standard and utilize that standard. So we're going to go and right on our desktop, we're going to put this in, which says basically invoke the generator. We're going to call this Express-local library-tutorial. All right. And we're going to be using as our view engine Pug. So I've got that here. I'm going to clear the screen. And I wouldn't normally do this, but I'm going to make this full screen so that you can see everything that's going to happen here. So there it is, and I hit enter. Now, it came back really quickly. All right. And I should now have, make this smaller again. I should now have a folder here someplace. There it is, Express Local Library Tutorial. You've seen this before. It's got a bin folder in it. All right, without much in there. A public folder with folders for images, JavaScript, and style sheets. A routes folder. A views folder. An app.js file that's got a little bit of stuff in it. And a package.json. And as you can see, it has already added for us several dependencies. These are all server-side dependencies: cookie parser, debug, express, HTTP errors, Morgan, and of course the Pug view engine. All right, and what you're going to notice when we bring up the app.js is in there we are going to end up setting our view engine to Pug. We're going to go over all this stuff, but I'm just showing you a couple things from the get-go here. It says the generator will create and list the project's files. At the end of the output, it provides instructions on how to install the dependencies as listed in the package.json file and run the application. Okay, we've already got the package.json. So it says at this point, we've got the complete skeleton project. The website doesn't actually do much yet, but it's worth running to see how it looks. First, install the dependencies. The install command will fetch everything that's loaded into the package.json file. In other words, what we just mentioned, it'll install these dependencies for us. All right, you can see by default it puts them in there in alphabetic order. So I'm going to do a CD to the actual package that we want to get to. So CD to express -local library -tutorial. And if I do look and I do an ls-l, it's the same stuff that I showed you previously that's in there. All right, let's clear it one more time and do our npm install. Again, that's going to go through the package.json file. There's two ways that you can do this. You can either install the packages yourself, which puts them into the package.json file. All right, or when you first start by doing your npm init, and then that'll create, amongst other things, the package.json file. Then you can put do your npm installs yourself, or you can do it the way they're doing it here. All right, you can put your installs right in your package.json file and then run npm install. All right, so that's all in there. Then run the application. All right, so on Windows CMD, use this prompt. Let's see if that one works here. I was having a problem with set before. Yeah, it doesn't find the set command, but I do believe it's running it, so let's see. Windows PowerShell, I didn't like that one either because, well, that doesn't have set. So let's try that one. All right, so I'm going to break out of this. And I'm going to try this Windows PowerShell command. Now it says the debug isn't found, but it's doing the same thing that it did before. All right, so it says on Mac or Linux, we're not going to do that one. Then load the HTTP localhost 3000, and we should get this. Let's see if indeed that happens. And again, you can say HTTP ://localhost :3000 and hit enter, or just localhost. Now it's telling me that the address cannot be found. I think I know why that is, but we're going to find out in just a second. I don't have Node running right now. All right. Now, could I be wrong with what I just said? Yes. Let's take a quick look. All right. I know that in an earlier one we took a look because there's different ways of running this. I'm going to very quickly jump back to the previous setting up the environment because I thought the last way that they showed to run this actually worked for us. See, all of these are doing the same thing. They're all using set and debug, which it says that I don't have. Let's go look at this. Let's go out to npmjs.org and let's put debug in here. And as it says, it's a small debugging utility. So let's go and add one thing to our package. All right, it says that this isn't found. So let's try this. I'm going to say Npm Install Debug. All right, so I've added that. Now I'm going to come back to this, to here, and go to our second one that we're working on here. And I'm going to try using one of these. All right, so it's got here, I'm going to try the Windows PowerShell one and see if it takes that. Still says debug the command is not found. Not sure why that's happening. It looks like it's trying to call it though, but I know that when I did this a couple lectures ago, when I went in here and went to localhost :3000, it worked. Well, there it is. So it's giving me something. Welcome to Express. All right, that's what I have. Congratulations, you now have a working Express application that can be accessed via port 3000. It says you could also start the app just using the npm start command. Specifying the debug variable as shown enables console logging and debugging. All right, which is what we did. It says, for example, when you visit the above page, you'll see an output that looks like this, and ours wasn't exactly like that. All right. Now, I'm going to talk about Nodemon in just a minute, but before I do, we're already here at 17 minutes, so I'll put that off until the next lecture. Thanks.